Hi, I'm Mark Mazzaferro, and it's time for a new episode of What's the Plan? And with us, as always, on What's the Plan is Community Development Director Barton Brierly. Barton, thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. It's good to be here, Mark.
You know, Barton, lately it seems like your area of the city has had to deal with a lot of meaty subjects.
Yes, definitely. A lot of interest in what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not Lagoon Valley, it's Green Tree, and if it's not Green Tree, it's today's topic, which is cannabis.
Yes.
And when you think about it, it's, I guess, this is really a planning issue. Is that, at its heart in terms of how we're going to deal with the adult use of marijuana in Vacaville?
Well, planning is part of it. If, for example, you're deciding whether to allow stores, that becomes a zoning issue, and so it can be a planning issue.
But every department, I think, has some involvement with this as we move forward here in town.
Right. It's got our police department's involved in regulations. It's city attorney's office and city manager's office. So yes, it's
Fire department.
Yes.
They have some say in terms of code enforcement. And well, anyway, we talk about cannabis, but isn't that the same thing as marijuana, pot, weed? I mean, it's got a million other names, but basically cannabis is marijuana.
Right, yeah. It was just a sort of a more friendly, socially acceptable name for marijuana.
Gotcha. So what in Vacaville, what are the concerns regarding cannabis and allowing different uses in our community?
Well, overall there's the health concerns with marijuana, which people can debate, but and the city doesn't really regulate that. But there are health concerns about how it affects your brain and your lungs and mental health and other things. Safety concerns are definitely a concern. So worried about other activities that tend to occur near cannabis operations, theft and break-ins and things like that. Marijuana businesses are all cash businesses, and so anywhere you got a lot of cash, there's potential for nefarious activities associated with that. Driving under the influence is a concern, and there's the whole environmental concerns too, because do you smell it? They use a lot of water. They use a lot of energy, and there's greenhouse gas emissions. Some cannabis production is done with volatile chemicals, and that can cause other problems, and so those are all concerns.
So and I don't know if you can address this or not. One thing I've heard, and I haven't done any research, so I apologize, but the whole issue of growing cannabis and its impact on other crops in the area. Do you know anything about that? Or
I really don't. Yeah. No. I mean, anytime you put two crops together, there's always a concern for what
the whole cross-pollination and what it does to other plants. Okay, well we won't go down down that road. All right. So I know some things are legal, certainly in Vacaville. One thing is legal that I'm aware of, but what right now, where are we at in terms of legality in our region?
So to start with, the federal government still makes it illegal to possess or use marijuana. So under the federal law, everything's not allowed. So when people say, well, it's legal now, that's not quite true. It's actually all illegal. But in California, the state has passed several things, including Prop 64, the Adult Use of Marijuana Act, which made several things legal under state law, which would include for an adult to possess 1 ounce of dry cannabis or 8 ounces of concentrate, made it legal under state law to smoke or ingest for adults, or to possess it, those small amounts. It still made it illegal to smoke anywhere where tobacco smoking is prohibited. It also made it illegal to smoke near a school or a daycare center, and to have, when you're driving, you can't have open containers or paraphernalia or drive under the influence. Those are some things that are still illegal under state law.
Well, okay, I can't, but could I smoke a cigarette near a school? Is that?
Yes, you can, but
not marijuana.
under state law, you can't do a marijuana.
Gotcha, I gotcha. Okay, makes sense. All right. But that I think therein lies the conflict that I think cities have in terms of what to allow and what not to allow. Still federally, it's not legal.
Right, yeah.
You know, and then that means that's partly why it has to be an all cash business, because how do they aren't allowed to do credit card transactions, I guess. They can't put the money in the bank in the strictest sense of the word. So those are issues still to be worked out, I guess.
Yeah, they are. And things are changing and developing as we go along.
Yeah. So what's legal in Vacaville right now, Barton?
Well, again, everything's still not legal. So the only thing the city can do is not prohibit. So the city does not prohibit adults growing in their own home up to 6 plants inside. So outdoor grows are illegal, but for an adult to grow in their own home up to 6 plants, that's legal with certain parameters. Basically, your neighbors can't smell it or see the lights, or you have to keep it away from juveniles and things like that. But the city council is currently under a moratorium where we've done a moratorium on all commercial cannabis activities. So all sales aren't allowed in Vacaville, any manufacture isn't allowed, any commercial grows are not allowed, any distribution is not allowed in Vacaville currently.
So you can grow 6 plants and that's it?
Yes.
Today?
For your own personal use.
How about deliveries? I know that's kind of a touchy subject for a lot of folks here in town, and generally speaking, it's one we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, so that is a tricky subject because under Prop 64, the Adult Use of Marijuana Act, that voters voted to allow cities to regulate deliveries within their own jurisdiction.
Right.
And so the city of Vacaville actually placed that ban, so all commercial cannabis activities are not allowed, which includes deliveries. So under city law, you can't do deliveries. Then the state in January passed a regulation which allowed deliveries anywhere within the state. And so that's currently an issue that's under litigation because the state did something which contradicted what the Adult Use of Marijuana Act said, and so that's under litigation right now.
Right, and we're part of that lawsuit. Vacaville and 25 other communities and agencies filed I guess, class action suit or were named party to the suit.
Yes.
Challenging the whole delivery issue, and it's not the lawsuit isn't against deliveries; it's against the control. It's all about local control.
Right, yes,
That's
definitely.
the bottom line.
Yes.
All right, so what are we doing right now?
So I mentioned that the city currently has a moratorium against all commercial cannabis activities, and that moratorium expires in September. And so we've gone back to the council and said, hey, what do you want to do after September? And so we've had an open house, we've had a council meeting, and they're discussing what we should do. After September, should we start allowing commercial cannabis businesses or manufacturing or nurseries or things like that? The council's general direction is to keep the current ban in place for longer until we really can have more information and really understand this. Because it's still an area that's been changing rapidly. The state rules have changed a lot in the last couple of years, and the science and everything's changing a lot. So that's the general direction the council indicated.
Well, you know, and that your last comment about it's an ever-changing, landscape and what's going to happen still being worked out. It's kind of funny because the whole issue of legalizing marijuana is not new in California. That's for sure. I mean, it's been discussed since, the 50s and 60s even.
Oh, yeah.
There was a push very early on for figuring out a way to somehow legalize marijuana. And it's taken this long to get to this point, and you would think that somebody would have been doing some work to have some things in place, but no, that's not how our state operates, is it?
Well, in the last few years there have been just like passing a Prop 64, and so it's an experiment. There's new things out there changing and adjusting, and I'm sure they'll continue to change and adjust.
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, council wants more information, but there isn't any information out there yet. Everything is kind of anecdotal, and you'd love to see 5 years, what's happened over the last 5 years, but it's only really been in effect for 5 or 6 months, here in
Right.
California.
Yeah.
Everybody points to Colorado, Washington, and other states that have legalized it, but even that's not a 5-year window yet, I don't think. So
Yeah.
and what's good for Colorado might not be good for California. So it's tough. It's tough. Well, it's an ongoing process, isn't it?
Yes.
And there's more to come. I know we're having a business forum on May 10th, actually.
That's right,
at
yes.
The Opera House. And then back to the council on May 28th. And after
Yes.
that, what happens?
Yeah, we'll take our direction from the council on how they want to proceed.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, it's weird. This is one of those issues where I think morality runs into legality, and that I think people struggle with that. Some
Yeah.
people are just, well, it's illegal, it's a drug, and others are, it's here. It's all. I hate to make a comparison. It's like VRBOs and
Yeah.
Airbnb almost, in that they're here. So, but is that always a solution? Well, it's here, so let it go. That's what the council's trying to decide.
Right, and there's a limited amount of research out there, and what's out there, I mean, if you are pro marijuana, you can find all sorts of research that supports that. If you're against it, you can find lots of research that supports that too.
Yeah.
So I mean, part of it's getting through to what is the real truth and what's the real facts.
All right, well, what else is happening in the planning department, Barton? You got another big project you're working on right now, too.
Yes, our downtown specific plan is a very exciting project. We're looking forward to improving downtown, to seeing what people want, maybe adding art or events, and maybe new housing and new businesses downtown. How can we improve the streetscape and things like that? So yeah, we're doing the project, and we're actually going to do a workshop on Wednesday, May 22nd. It's going to be from 6 to 8 p.m. at the McBride Senior Center, and we'd love the public to come out and give us ideas about what you want to see downtown, how you think it can be improved.
Yeah, this is a good one in terms of feedback from. We definitely need feedback from our residents. Downtown is the living room of the city. And what it's going to be is going to be guided a lot by what our residents want, as it should.
Yeah, definitely.
So we have this new public engagement website, letstalkvacaville.com. Please go register. Cannabis is on there, as well as the downtown specific plan.
Yes.
And honestly, I think we're getting more comments on the downtown specific plan than we are cannabis. So, which is a good thing, actually. Maybe they go hand in hand. I don't know. But so this is good. And what's going to happen at this workshop?
So we're just going to get feedback. We're going to present some ideas of what ought to be done downtown. This is part of a 3-day event with, we have our design team and our consultants coming in, and they're going to come up with some plans and ideas and hear from the public and present some ideas and get feedback. And so we're really excited about
Should
that.
be good, yeah. And I know Maya was at the farmer's market on Saturday. I think she's going to be there again this Saturday, too.
Yeah.
So lots of opportunities for folks to share their opinion about what's going to happen downtown.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we have a nice, quaint little downtown, but what do we hear? Well, I wish there were nicer restaurants or more entertainment venues. Here is your chance.
This is the chance, exactly.
All right, good deal. Anything else going on down in Barton you want to share with us?
Well, yeah, lots going on. I mean, still working on the Green Tree project. We had an open house and got a lot of good feedback, so we're taking that feedback and processing that, and we'll have another event in the summer to talk about that. That's a big one. Lower Lagoon Valley, there's a little bit of utility work's going to start this month actually there, so people start seeing that. So yeah.
And while you will see work in areas of the park, it's not going to impact the park at all
Right.
overall.
Right.
It's all for Lower Lagoon Valley. Let's
Yes.
emphasize that from now on. Let's just call it Lower Lagoon Valley.
Yes.
Private property.
Private property south of the park.
Exactly. All right, good deal. Well, listen, Barton, thanks for all the good information about cannabis, the downtown plan, and other things happening in your department.
welcome.
Thank you all for watching this episode of What's the Plan? We'll see you next time.